Spartan shame, the wives of the Tremblers. I. The Spartan obsession with perfection, victory or annihilation. Ancient Sparta was less a state and more an ideology. Its entire existence was dedicated to a single uncompromising goal: military perfection. The agoge system, instituted from childhood, trained Spartan men not just to be warriors, but to be the embodiment of invincibility. In this culture, there was no room for mediocrity. You returned either with your shield or on it dead. Failure was not a simple defeat. It was a betrayal of the Spartan soul. Spartan women were the guardians of this state ideology. Their expectation of their husbands was absolute. Yet a moment came when this rigid code became unsustainable, even for the state itself. 2. The breaking point. The Battle of Leuctra 371 BC. In 371 BC, during the Battle of Leuctra against the Thebans, the myth of Spartan invincibility was irrevocably shattered. Following this devastating defeat, an unprecedented number of Spartan warriors returned home, having fled the battle. These men were branded the Tremblers Tremoi. For Sparta, this was a profound crisis. Under normal law, the Tremoi should have faced execution. However, such massive losses would cripple the already diminishing population of full Spartan citizens. Executing the Tremblers would be an act of annihilation. A desperate decision was made. The Tremoi would be allowed to live physically, but they would be made to die socially. 3. The punishment, social death, and the seal of shame. The penalty imposed on the Tremoi was not physical violence, but a psychological and societal collapse. For the men, they were forbidden from shaving their beards and cutting their hair. They were forced to wear dirty, patched garments and were publicly ridiculed. They were barred from taking part in public assemblies or contests. If they were seen standing in the marketplace, they had to move out of the way for fear of being struck, their shame acting as an invisible barrier. The core drama, the wives and families. The most cruel and truly unspeakable aspect of the punishment was directed at the homes and wives of these soldiers. The women and young daughters of the Tremoi were completely ostracized from society. No Spartan citizen was allowed to marry a Trembler's daughter or even speak to the wives themselves. This was the ultimate cruelty. The women were not guilty of failure, but their husband's defeat made them ritually unclean in the eyes of the community. They were barred from finding a new husband and were isolated in a social void. The shame of defeat was extended not through a violent public spectacle, but through a brutal, lingering social death inflicted on the entire family. 4. The unspoken truth. The unspeakable reality hinted at in the title was not physical torture, but the savagery of societal exclusion. Sparta transformed the homes and families of the defeated into monuments of public shame. These women were neither widows nor fully married. They were prevented from being part of the Spartan fabric. Their sentence was a life lived in isolation. This psychological torment is the most striking example of how Sparta valued the state, as ideal of perfection over the life of the individual. The price of defeat was paid not only by the warriors, but most profoundly by their wives and children, who faced a slow, agonizing public disappearance.